I don't know if all good melodies have a certain amount of sadness, but certainly a lot of the melodies that I've used and liked, I can understand why people think of it as sad. Lyrically, I can understand why people see some of the music on the new record as, or some of the lyrics on the new record as being dark. Um, but I've never made anything in my life where I didn't feel like there was something hopeful about it. Uh, I think it's a political statement in itself to make music. I think that puts you squarely on the side of things existing. And the freer you can make your music, I think that makes the statement even that much more powerful. Because art changes people's perceptions of the world, and in a way that no other thing in the world can change how people think. And if you can manage to make something and let it all hang out and make something that sounds free and communicates some sense of being able to look at yourself and has some integrity and honesty to it, I think that's more powerful than 1,000 diatribes against any political party or anything like that. You know, it's just how you live is what's important, and that's what seems so wrong about a lot of what's going on, because it just makes you wonder, are these people even looking at how they're living? And they can't be. They couldn't do the things that they're doing if they really looked at how they're living, in my opinion. You couldn't be indifferent to the suffering you were causing if you were looking at how you're living and really looking at yourself. So, yeah, the record is kind of about searching for some sense of identity and finding a spiritual identity, you know, which is really what's missing, and really the part of us that really is hurting, is our spirit. And I think the conclusion of the record is, you know, it's okay to not know who you are, and it's as long as you keep living each day in a way that you can be proud of or happy with, and you'll find it. You'll get there eventually. That's really what faith is all about, you know. And I'm not a religious person, but I think you have to have faith to put one foot in front of the other, and you have it whether you know it or not. You have faith. So I like that the record kind of came out expressing some of those things, because it wasn't entirely intentional that those things were in the record. But after we made it, it made a lot of sense, because those are the things I've been thinking about a lot lately. We've all grown a lot. I mean, John's the only member that's original, but I always saw Wilco as something of a collective. And over the years, that's been harder and harder to achieve with different members in the band. I would have never set out to have a band that changed members every record. That's not what my idea of a band was. That's just the way it worked out. And all those changes have somehow been good over time. And the lineup of the band right now is just, it's really closest to the thing that I thought was Wilco all along. I really have a ton of respect for everybody in the band as a musician and in their own right, and their own music and what they're doing and what they're bringing to Wilco. And I feel so much more supported than I've ever felt as being the guy that writes the songs and the singer, you know. I feel much more comfortable with being positioned to be a leader in a way than I've ever felt, because I always didn't really like that idea, you know.
Why?
Why? Because I was insecure. I wanted people to like me. And when you lead, you feel like you're making people do something they don't want to do, or you know, like you just question yourself all the time. It's a lot easier now. It feels a lot. The spirit of it feels really good, and it feels like what we've been trying to get to for a long time. Making it is the most important thing about it. Just the process of making it is the thing that makes me healthy, or makes me feel better and happier and able to cope with my life more. So what it actually is once it's made is, it can be cool, I can be proud of it, or it can be something I like to listen to, but the act of doing it is very easily the most important part of it. No, I'm not as outgoing as Billy Bragg is. That's who you're talking about, right?
About being like a troubadour, you know?
A troubadour.
Troubadours.
Yeah. I really, really enjoy the connection that you can have with an audience. I feel very comfortable with that. And I like meeting people, but that's not, I would be lying to say that that was my main reason for touring. And I really want to play the shows. I really want to play the music. The music is really what has always come first. You know, it's like really the reason I'm here right now. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. I probably still be working at a record store, or I do like working with people that have problems. You know. I've done some shows benefit shows where you just go and play at like an adult daycare center, or and things like that. I really enjoy working with people that are struggling mentally or struggling with addiction or things that I've struggled with. I feel really good about doing that. So maybe I would have done that.
Music is always a good therapy.
It's the same thing, really. When I think about it, it is kind of the same thing. But if I wasn't a musician, I would have maybe I would have discovered that at some point. That feels the same, feels good, the way that music feels good. To listen to someone else's problems and offer them your insight. We definitely do try and find ways to be surprised in the studio, and after making Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, the thing that surprised us most about Yankee Hotel Foxtrot was how much better it sounded when we learned how to play it live than the way we had put it together, which was a lot of studio manipulation and cut and paste type of procedures. Once we learned those arrangements, they became a lot more passionate. And so that's really the approach we took with this record. Jim O'Rourke is like one of my best friends in the world. He's one of the people in the world that I really trust to be sympathetic to what we want to do and help us execute it. And most of the time that I hang out with Jim, we just sit around and listen to records. So it makes sense that we would be comfortable making records together too. We get to be in a band together. We get to be in Loose Fur together. I would love it if Jim felt like playing with Wilco and was in Wilco. I think he's really happy in Sonic Youth, and I think it's been really good for us. Maybe that's probably good for our relationship to not be in a band together. We're able to really enjoy the uniqueness of getting to work together when our schedules don't conflict, So I think that, I don't know, I think Jim's really an entity in his own right. I think I would never want him to not make his own records and just do his thing. I like a band called Deerhoof a lot. The records are just insane. They're very unpredictable. They make you think. I don't know how they would put together something like that. It just seems really inventive and exciting. I tend to listen to more older music. I love being reminded of how people's relationship with music was so different at different times. You can really tell on old folk recordings that those people didn't have the relationship that we have with listening. They heard things out in the air. They didn't listen to speakers and little stereos and stuff. And that really changes the way people play. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I just think there's so much older music that I haven't heard. It's like a total wonderland of stuff that one thing leads to another, and I just love that. And new stuff tends to be so hyped that a lot of times I can't resist the urge to dismiss it, for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with the music. The older music, I feel like I can get to it and just hear it and not think about who they are, where they come from, what clothes they're wearing, what publicity department is pushing this aspect of the band, whatever. I just like to be able to form my own opinions a little more, and it's easier to do with older music as you explore it. Yeah, I mean, the radio's a very, 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 and just unbelievably small variety of the music that gets made in this world, But that song to me was more about reminding myself that when somebody listens to a record, that song isn't being sung. It's a piece of plastic, where the song is being sung is in the person that's listening. That's the other half of the equation that nobody ever talks about, that the consciousness of the listener is the person that's actually making the music, It's just an inanimate object without a human being to put it there and listen to it. And that's just really about that idea. To me, that song, I mean, yes, there's a very obvious connection to saying that all the best stuff isn't stuff that's easy to find and all of that, but I wanted the last words on the record to be, the best songs never get sung, the best life never leaves your lungs, The best life that you have is really up here in your imagination, and the listener's imagination is really what makes a music profound or beautiful or great, Golden Smog is I don't know what's going on with Golden Smog. I don't know if I'm in the band. I don't know if anybody knows if they're in the band. I don't know if the record will ever happen. It's just, that was just like boys club, just getting out and doing something with a little bit of just a looser nature to it, and something you didn't really have to be accountable for, like it's a really cool thing to get to do, but I don't really use those projects to do stuff that I wouldn't do in Wilco. It's just another thing to do. I think that I like to stay active musically, and I think it's good to not have all of that pressure on Wilco to satisfy every musical itch, So everybody in the band, everybody in Wilco does a lot of things outside of Wilco, and I think that's one of the reasons that we've been able to kind of challenge ourselves and look at it with a little less preciousness, that Wilco has to be this one thing, because we all get out and do other stuff, and then we bring that back, and I don't know, I think it keeps everybody really active musically and engaged in music and excited, so that contributes to us being able to make music that excites us.